quick. So let's save that out. Just turn that round so I can push it back a little bit. Ladles and jelly spoons.
Let's see.
So I probably should title this "The World's Cheapest Beer."
Yeah.
But I think it's probably close to be.
Oh, that's a good picture. Just letting you know.
Nice and clear.
Nice and clear.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just finished doing what I'm doing. You carry on.
Michelle's going to share out and just see if anyone drops in to say hello. We have tested this time, so we do kind of know it's okay. Hello. 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 Can I get your special beer? Your beer? Yeah, your drop beer.
No, pineapple smoothie. Thank you.
Thank you, come on. So we're going to be all good today. So I'm going to ask you about the sound anyway. Michelle's going to just track the comments. We tried to do a live stream the other day. It went a little bit wrong. Anyway, we are in Ninh Binh. We've just come down from Hanoi to this place. We've never been to Ninh Binh before.
Never been to Binh. We scooted past it, didn't we, before?
Yeah, we've scooted past. I will turn the camera occasionally so you can see what's going on out there. We've just come to have what I gotta believe is the world's cheapest beer. I mean, I'll tell you the price. You can start to guess. Have a little guess how much you think this beer will be. And how is everybody? Is the sound nice and clear? Who's in? Say
Yes.
hello. Who was that?
So Daniel says, I love Vietnam. Cool.
Which Daniel is that?
Daniel Trevino. Anne Skelchi says, hello,
Anne,
I just
hello,
came back
sweet.
from
Hello,
Bangkok. It was so rainy but fun at the same time. It's always fun in the rain.
We've just had a big rainstorm actually.
Thunderstorm, wasn't it?
Thunderstorm just,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
5-10 minutes ago.
They just
And
wiped the seats down and dried them all.
These seats out for us. So,
Is the sound all good? I hope it is.
and hopefully we won't get too much copyright because the bars will play music. Nothing we can do about that. So, but hopefully the sound will be nice and clear. And you were in Bangkok. That's good to hear. We were talking to my buddy Scott over in Bangkok, and he says he's coming over to Vietnam, so we might sort of rock up and see Scott at some point.
So Anne says the sound is good, and Daniel says that's on my list. Loves Vietnam.
Well, we've never been here before. It's interesting. It's one of those sort of towns that are basically almost a street of very touristic, but quite nice. Beautiful, the scenery around here. And what we're going to do...
Okay, my exotic fruit says 45,000 Vietnamese dong is my guess for the beer.
What is that in old money?
No, we know what it is in Vietnamese dong. And Daniel says perfect sound.
Beautiful,
Good.
beautiful.
Good.
So, Michelle has gone for a pineapple smoothie. Smoothie or a milkshake or what is it?
A smoothie, I think.
Check my microphone's in
This
the right
town's full
spot.
of backpackers.
Yeah, look, just turn the camera.
Oh, you're going to miss him.
There he
Oh,
goes. Let's
just
have a
go
little bit
there.
that side so you can see what's going on.
See where we are.
So this is where we are. It's probably about 500-metre long high street that's just all bars and cafes, tourist backpacks. Amazing little place. But people don't come here for... let me just check the width of that.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
That's the wider one.
Yeah, it's not rocking bars, are they? There's
No,
music.
they're not overly rocking. But people don't come here for this particular strip. They come here because Ninh Binh got this amazing rock formations. It's absolutely beautiful. And you can take boats, which we probably will do. We're not entirely sure what we're doing here, really, but we just came down to check it out. You can take boats out and see the amazing sort of casts. Oh, I'm dry. I'm dry. I'm looking forward to this beer.
It will arrive.
Cost me a fortune. Cost me an arm and a leg, this beer.
Anne says it looks so clean and not so chaotic.
No, oh, it is chaotic. And just a little bit further down the road, you've got just tour buses after tour buses come here. Because although we're actually in Tam Kok, we're not in Ninh Binh.
And Ray Goad says, Ninh Binh area is beautiful, well worth spending a few days there. I preferred it to Halong Bay. You must take a small boat where they row with their feet.
we will do.
They say it's the inland version of Halong Bay, so
We've actually driven past here on the train last time we were in Vietnam. We didn't stop because so many tourists were heading this way. We thought it was going to be overcrowded, but we've decided to come and give it a try, and quite like it so far. It's quite nice, but in a very sort of touristic way. There's a lot of backpackers here, very few Vietnamese families. But what I will say is that Ninh Binh, which we're not in. Okay, how do I explain? Everybody's heading from Hanoi to Ninh Binh, which is actually a province, but the city of Ninh Binh is not where anyone is coming to. Because the city in Ninh Binh is, oh God, I got this music so loud in my ear. Can you guys hear that? Is that going to get me a copyright strike? So the city in Ninh Binh is kind of industrial, a lot of factories, and people are actually coming to Trang An, and Tam Kop. They're coming to one of those places, and they're coming to this town. So in the daytime, you're getting dozens of maybe even hundreds of coaches coming from Hanoi, but we're not doing that trip. We've come here. There goes Our Lady.
Oh yes. So off to get something that he run out of, probably.
Pineapple, probably.
Probably, yes.
Got to the market to get your pineapple.
That's why they're hanging on to your beer, so they can serve them together. No, here they come. Ah, look at this. Thank you.
There we go. Maybe move that out the way a little so we can have a place for it. Gammon, thank you.
Gammon, thank you. Perfect.
That's beautiful. So, cheers everybody.
Chin chin. Oh.
This is the local Hanoi beer, draft beer. Oh, that's hit the spot nicely.
That's good.
Is that good?
That's a good one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So Daniel's asking, are things back to normal in Vietnam?
Yeah, I'd say they are.
I would, yeah. Very chaotic and
pretty much
cool and
no different to when I've been in Hanoi before, apart from the obvious sort of a little bit of minor amount of mask wearing, but pretty low key now. Most people are just getting on with life and trying to recover. Lots of places closed down over the last few years, a lot of places, but I was really pleased to discover actually that one of my favourite banh mi places in Hanoi, which was in my series I did last time we were here, which was it was Banh Mi Aha. I just, the music is getting louder and louder.
you just got to ignore it. Yes, we thought Banh Mi Aha.
Well, I asked him to turn it down, but I'm not sure if he did. Instead, he's just turned it up because he thinks I want to.
Okay. But they weren't, were
Sorry,
they?
I'm getting sidetracked. So when I was here last time, if you look at my top food in Hanoi, there was a lovely little banh mi shop called Banh Mi Ha Ha. And I thought it had closed because where the shop was closed. But anyway, just before we came down to here, I'm walking down a random little street in Hanoi, and I walked into a banh mi shop just to sort of check it out. I wasn't even getting a banh mi there, and this guy shouted my name out. The owner shouted, Steve. And it was the Banh Mi Aha. He just moved location, but he remembered me from nearly five years ago. That was really cool. Really nice. So if I do go back to Hanoi, I'm going to go in and see him again because he's got the reason I went in there because it looks a lovely clean shop. The banh mi's look good, and I thought, great, he's not out of business. So he's just like a phoenix from the fire. He's set up a new location.
He did. So my exotic fruit says, have you been to the market on the left just after the bridge? Further down the road you are on, travelling away from the centre.
Away from the centre, just after there is actually an open market just before the bridge. Who said that?
My exotic fruit.
My exotic fruit said just before the bridge, about maybe 20 paces before the bridge, there's an indoor market, like a wet market. That's what you're talking about. I didn't notice one just after the bridge. So
check it out.
We found another really good market. If you leave going back towards Ninh Binh, go up towards the big roundabout where the petrol stations are, There's a big wet market. Well, it's actually not that big. No, it's not that big. But
It probably is for
bigger
Ninh
than
Binh,
this
for
one.
a Tamcock.
So is that the market you mean? It's literally just down here, 100 yards or so. Just turn the camera so you can. I just keep missing the backpackers going by, and it looks quite interesting. But well, I'll leave it there for a few moments.
So JD says, how does your wife like your new haircut, Steve? But then it also says, how does your mum like your new haircut?
Well, Mum always thinks I cut it too short. Michelle likes it.
I like it. I think it's cool.
Yeah, she likes it.
And Red says, Michelle has a new phone, question mark.
Yes, she does.
I'm holding it up, but he's got it facing the other way. I do have a new phone.
She does. And a big thank you to Ann
Yes,
Ewan.
thank you
And
so much.
Anne sent us a PayPal donation, which was really helpful and really considerate. So Ann Ewan, if you're watching this,
Thank
big
you.
love to you. Thank you so much.
Yes.
We had to get Michelle. We'd almost forgotten about it because it was a week or so ago now. And the scars start to heal. It was a bit of a mixed feelings about Hanoi at the moment with that happening, but
We're over it. It happened, you can't really blame Hanoi. I think it happens in, as you say, in any major city, any major tourist destination.
So we had to get Michelle, but the biggest pain, I think I've said to a few of you, was that we had to reset all the security passwords on absolutely everything, because we use our phones quite considerably for pretty much all of our online, because we're traveling all the time. People say, oh, well, don't do your banking, don't do this, that and the other. Well, we can't. We're always traveling. So we have to do that.
And it was, setting up all the how I keep in touch with family and things. So that was all
all the WhatsApp accounts and Signal accounts and Telegram accounts. Everything had to be reset up. It was a major pain in the backside.
Major pain, but over it.
Just turn that round again so you can.
Yeah, because a few people were a little concerned because I didn't appear in the next few videos, but I don't appear in every video.
No,
sometimes I don't appear in lots of videos.
It wasn't at all because Michelle was feeling sort of like melancholic about that or troubled by it. But it was really nice that An Young, not Young, Nyang, and now I pronounce it, it's the Vietnamese spelling, and I hope I pronounce it. But huge hug to you for coming up with that, and it was a really kind thought.
Yeah, it really lifted me. Petri says hello, just happened to catch you guys.
Hey Petri, how are you?
Good to see you virtually.
Now I'm going to tell you about this beer. I've just noticed the sign as we came by earlier today, and I said we'll come back in and see what their beer's like.
Has anybody else guessed?
Somebody said, go on, give me some prices, and the nearest one to the price, wins a beer. If you come down here, I'll buy you one.
Yeah, there you go. If you come down, Steve will buy you a beer.
You can either do it in US dollars, Australian dollars, you can do it in pounds if you want, you can do it in yen, you can do it in any currency you choose, but it might be easier if you keep it to dollars, or you can keep it to Vietnamese dong. But I think this is probably the cheapest beer I've had on my recent travels.
Petri says, doing pretty good. You guys seem to be doing well. Yes, we're doing very well. Thank you, Petri.
We are doing pretty good.
And JD says, where do you go from here after Vietnam?
We don't know.
I was going to say, yeah, somebody tell us.
Somebody tell us, where should we go after Vietnam?
Where's next?
We're actually going to skip out of Vietnam and possibly come back in again, because we're going to meet some family here in not too far distant future. So we are going to stay in the region for a little while, but we've got to plan some destinations after that. So that's something we'll probably talk to you about over the next coming. I'm sorry I haven't live streamed for a little while. I tried to do one in Hanoi. I have no idea why the internet. My phone has 5G. That was rubbish. The internet in most of the places we went to was really awful. So we just couldn't get a good live stream going. And the hotel we were staying in, which was quite nice. It was a nice little hotel, little simple place, but clean, tidy, very pleasant. But the only room in the hotel that couldn't get Wi-Fi was our room. So I could upload videos, but I had to go and sit downstairs in the lobby to upload videos. Our room was useless.
Rubbish.
Absolutely
Rubbish.
useless.
So my exotic fruit says, in Hanoi we found fresh beer Hanoi for 15,000 per glass at very cheap.
15,000 is ridiculously cheap.
Oh, so
That's,
cheap, yeah.
What's 15,000 in dollars? That's about
That's 1 Aussie.
50 cents.
1 Aussie.
Is it 1.15 or 25?
The 25 is 1 US.
$1 US.
Yeah, 15 is 1 Aussie. That's roughly what we're working on.
So what is 15,000 dong in US dollars? Can somebody just give me that conversion? Because we're all occupied with our multiple phones that we have. We have so many phones.
That was in the old quarter. Not bad for the old quarter. That's pretty good.
I just saw the amount coming up there.
No, that's what my exotic. Yes, that hasn't come up for me yet. I've got 15,000, 75 cents, I think.
75 cents.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty cheap for beer.
It was pretty cheap.
Yeah.
You're never going to get it cheaper than that unless you come to Ninh Binh. 10,000 dong for a beer. We're talking probably about 40 cents, I don't know.
I reckon, yeah.
40 cents, 10,000 for a beer. Nice cold, served in a cold glass. 10,000 dong. They say it's happy hour, but the happy hour is there all day long.
All day long.
You can order. It's actually the price that's in the menu.
So Anne says 8.
Sorry, Anne. I've let the cat out the bag. It's 10,000. So it's
So £1 is about 29,000 dong, and 96 cents Australian.
So it's about 30 cents. 30 pence. Anyway, it's 10,000 dong.
It's cheap. It's cheap.
I might even have a second one.
So Anne says it's a typo with the 8. Did you not finish what you were saying? 10,000, crazy. That is pretty cheap. Never seen it that cheap, have we?
No, it's
and as you say, happy hour,
nice
but
beer
lasts
as well.
all day.
It's a
Hanoi?
Well, it's a lager. It's not.
Yeah.
When I say a nice beer, it's like saying water is nice. Well, it's a nice bottle of water. It's a lager. Yep, there goes a guy in a hip helmet.
But they serve it cold. It's always very cold, isn't it? A nice cold
Nice
glass.
and cold.
Yeah.
You see the Vietnamese cycling by here on a look, all the very similar, almost like the mama sherries from Japan.
Yes.
Very simple, sit up and beg style bikes.
Like the little guy's got a pink one.
Yeah, here's another guy. Oh no, that's a little mountain bike.
Yeah.
He's,
So Anne says, I'm typing with a small phone and have fat fingers.
Tell me about it, Anne.
I can't type on the phone. I'm very slow.
I do hope Ann Nguyen comes in and show her. Otherwise, I'd not thanked her enough.
JD says, how are you coping with the spicy food in Korea and the hot weather? You must be climatized after 3 years in Southeast Asia.
Well, very different. Well, no, not that different a climate actually in Korea and Vietnam at the moment, because Korea was super hot. People said to us, Daegu Africa, they called it, Daegu, where we were staying for quite a lot of the time, was actually a lot hotter than we expected. And Jeju Island also was a lot hotter than we expected, a lot more humid, but not unbearable.
Yeah.
I mean, we're kind of used to it. And I would still say it's one of my favourite countries in the world. I mean, certainly Korea, I think was really an easy place to be. The food was good, people were wonderful. I would have liked the weather to be about 5 degrees cooler. And actually it is now. I think now we've left. The
It
weather's
did get
starting
very
to drop
hot,
off.
didn't it, in the last few weeks
just,
we were there.
just to the point where
That was peak summer.
40 degrees, felt like 40 degrees, over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and quite humid. So, but I highly recommend Korea. I mean, we've always had toyed between which countries in that region are the most interesting, whether Japan or Korea. But I think they both have their very distinct, different cultures and foods.
The little ant
Little ant?
joining in with us.
He's probably going down to the microphone going, Dad, tell him about the kimchi, Steve. Tell him about the kimchi. Did you hear the little ant?
Yeah, he was trying to get there, but
I mean, the kimchi,
yeah,
the Korean barbecues that we had, the gimbap, so much great food. What a wonderful country, such lovely people. I think it's often overlooked when people come to Southeast Asia, because they're always sort of going to Thailand and Vietnam and Cambodia, and probably because of the, people don't think of it as a budget destination, which it is not. But it's not that much more expensive than being in Southeast Asia. Yes, you can find nice hotels for as little as $30 a night in Korea. So that would be very much on par with what you'd find here in Vietnam or in Thailand, for that matter. And then you've got to accept that the costs of food and that are a little more expensive. But it's an experience, you know. If you were doing 2 or 3 weeks, I'd certainly opt for going there.
And easy to get around. It wasn't that expensive. The public
Super easy to
transport
get around.
was okay, wasn't it? We did things.
We've always liked it, and from our last visit there, and we were equally as impressed with it this time.
Okay.
And, go on.
Christmas is approaching soon. Where will you both be for Christmas? Says JD. JD.
JG.
JD.
JB.
D. It's
Jay.
too noisy. Yeah, Jay.
It's too noisy.
You're just Jay.
You've got the beautiful benefit of having a lavalier mic here that is cardioid shaped. So a lavalier mic to pick up the sound around my mouth, up to my eyebrows, across to my shoulders, and pretty much then across here. You get the sound from there. We've got disco fever in the background, traffic passing us in the foreground, people shouting all around us. So anyway, Jay, Christmas.
I was sure of it.
Christmas, we haven't even given it a consideration, have we?
No,
Christmas?
no, we're still working on our next destination, so it's Christmas is a few months away for us. Oh, you're missing them all.
I'm missing it. I'm not turning.
There we go.
18 bicycles just went by, but sadly, slow draw McGraw missed them all.
Quite a few people actually take the bicycles here, don't they, from their hotels and guest house, and cycle around in the heat.
And I think they used to be quite inexpensive, but now they're free.
Well, whenever you look online for hotels, they always say, and free bicycles. You can take 3 bicycles from the guest house, but they're not free anymore. There's very few.
They may be. We don't know that.
I don't know. The people have said that in the reviews.
They've started charging.
They've started charging for them.
And they're ropey old bicycles as well.
They are.
I mean, they're really old, cranky. The ones not the ones you're seeing going by, but the ones the tourists are using are probably worth in the region sort of like 80 cents or so. I would hazard a guess. I might be being a little overly generous. I just double tap that.
And you've usually got the name of your guest house emblazoned across it, so everyone knows where you're staying.
So yes, Vietnam was a pleasure to come back to. Hanoi is always a pleasure to be in. We've had some negative experiences in Vietnam, as you know. Over some parts of Vietnam are not my favourite, so we're kind of trying to re-see some of those areas with new eyes.
Yes.
And so far,
that's good. This trip's been good.
One video I've got to edit from a day or so ago in Hanoi, which will be going up soon, and then we've videoed, I think, if it looks okay, we videoed some of the journey coming down here to Ninh Binh. And I think I was going to say just now, I don't know if I've actually said, but we're thinking of getting a motorbike and just driving around this area and giving you a sort of like a motorbike tour. Because Ninh Binh actually, what's this town called again?
Tam Kok.
Tam Kok. It hasn't sunk in yet.
Yeah.
Tam Kok is tiny. So
it
we
is.
could do a motorbike tour here in probably about 30 seconds from top to tail of the high street. But just as you leave the town, there's these amazing casts. Actually, in the photograph you can see for this thumbnail, you can see behind Michelle's head these beautiful casts, almost like termite mounds, but much, much bigger. And they're all over the place, and between them run these waterways.
And the rice fields are all still green, aren't they? It's very
so
pretty.
I thought we could get a motorbike and just go for a little scoot. We did this in... People have always said they quite enjoyed the one we did in Bali.
In Bali,
Indonesia.
yes.
So we'll do a similar sort of thing, but I'll try to talk through it as much as I can, because I know you love to hear my own voice. I know I love to hear my own voice.
Well, hopefully we can capture the sound. Bali was a bit sort of iffy, wasn't it? So
Well, I
we'll
think
see.
on Bali I used a lot of music, so we'll see.
We'll see how we go. See, the name of this place isn't sinking in because everyone always says, "Oh, I'm going to Ninh Binh," and as you say, that's the province, isn't it, that we're in?
And Ninh Binh, the city. We actually stopped one night when we got off the train. We stopped one night in Ninh Binh because we don't like to have to do a distance, if you know what I mean. When we arrived in a place.
And it was getting later, wasn't it? It was sort of, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night, so you don't want to just rock up.
So we just walk over the road to our hotel, which was great.
Yeah, it was a good hotel.
We found a little place for coffee in the morning before we set off up to here. It costs about 100,000 to get from Ninh Binh to most of the tourist destinations.
Yes.
The taxis are pretty much charging 100,000, which is...
And you just use Grab, didn't you?
Yeah, I just use Grab.
When we got off the train, there was a young couple who didn't have internet, so you helped them out with sharing your internet, your precious internet.
Yeah, and that was 100 to get to where they were, which is in...
and they were going completely...
Trang An direction, and we were coming to... Quite by chance, we were coming to...
Tam Kok.
Tam Kok.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said it again, Michelle.
I know when you say it.
Why does Tam Kok not... I tell you, I haven't remembered its name once on the journey to here and on the journey here. It's just something about, I think because Ninh Binh is so ingrained, because everybody said come down to Ninh Binh, and we didn't even know there was such a place as Tam Kok before we arrived here. We just, as we were coming down, somebody said, oh, you need to stay around Tam Kok, that's the best place to stay. So we booked on the train our place here, which is quite nice. Yeah. We've got a little hotel, little homestay. So it's like a family homestay, but it is a little hotel.
It is. It's got little rooms, isn't it? Around the pool. They're quite nice.
Any other questions?
Well, Jay says, if you have, if you both,
JC.
Oh,
DJ.
That's the one, DJ. If you both have 2 wishes today, what would they be?
Oh, that's interesting. That's 4 wishes then, because we both get 2 wishes.
Oh, yeah.
I'd have one selfish one, which would be to be more content with everything, regardless of, financial situations or environment, just to be, mentally more content with a lot more things. That, I don't know how you could switch that on, because I'm a bit of a worrier in many respects. So just to be able to switch that off. So I was always, because I always think, the world is a much better place than online would have you believe sometimes. But my other wish would be just for things to be a little less... I think I would really like to see, if you could wish in one way, major governmental changes all over the world. And I mean to kind of reset governments so that
everybody can live their own life the way they want to.
People can actually take control again of the places we live in. So that would, and actually I would forgive both those wishes just for the latter one. Just to switch off the governments, reset them, get them back to being smaller, autonomous. And I know that's a sort of like, most people say, oh, I want to wish to be $1 million or live forever or these sort of things. Now, I'd be happier to see the world reset, all the governments be dissolved and reset up, because they are basically bankrupt institutions, and if they were companies, they would have been shut down a long time ago. So really just kind of like reset. There's all this, people talk about debt, but to who? Talk about, so that's my thing, because I think generally that would bring a great deal of happiness to everybody around the world, and all you want for everybody is to be a lot happier. And I think at the moment, because of the huge imbalance that's around us, it's leaving a great deal of dissatisfaction in huge numbers of people, and I'd like to see that a lot more balanced. What would be yours?
Well, you know me, I have great difficulty in thinking of things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm happy in what we're doing and you know, life in general. Probably maybe we should be a little bit more satisfied sometimes with what we're doing, but you know, life is good.
Hard.
You know, it's a
hard.
hard.
What would your 2 wishes be? Because ours, you put us on the spot there a little bit, and we probably will think later on, oh, maybe there were some other things. We should probably do a Q&A where you ask us earlier on, and we sort of answer these after giving them a thought.
I can't think on the spot. You're very good at that, but I can't.
No, not really, because I know the obvious thing you'd say, oh, we just want children to be absolutely, you know, content and happy forever, and, you know, everybody to be well and healthy and all those sort of things. But
JD says, so you want equality, Steve? Nice answer.
I don't even really want equality, because equality is never going to be. Sorry, I'm not being pedantic, but equality can never really happen. There will never be a true equality, because there will always be people's abilities will always outshine other people's abilities. You can't stop that. So I would like to see.
I'd like to see less control of people. Let people do what they want to do. If you make a mistake, you make a mistake. It's like when you have children, isn't it? You let them make their own mistakes, and then they learn from it and move on.
Because we've seen so many. I think we're starting to see the generation of children that were brought up on iPads. You know, we always used to say when we walked around many years ago, you'd see children who just sat in front of iPads or on phones scrolling and what have you. That generation starting to come to fruition at the moment, let's not focus on that. But you know what I'm saying. We'll have another talk about that another time. But things that I just want people to be able to go about and get on with their lives and have more autonomy. And when you think about the trillions, it's not billions anymore, trillions of dollars that is wasted on the most bizarre things around the world. The wealth is here for everybody to have equality of wealth. That would be I'm not looking for a sort of communist system or even a socialist system, but the quality of ability to have wealth should be there. And we shouldn't have billionaires, trillionaires. There should be none of that nonsense in the world. We used to have in Hong Kong many years ago. Hong Kong was a wonderful country, actually. You know, when you think about it as an independent entity, Hong Kong was wonderful in many ways. It had low taxation, low interference from the government, and it also had a monopolies and mergers commission that really worked. And if too many companies took over if as we have in Australia and you have in America and have in Europe now, half a dozen companies that run absolutely everything, they would have stepped in. They would have stepped in and broken that down. And I think we need to do that. But these governments will never. Anyway.
So JD says, you're a wise man, Steve. I believe you make people happy with those wishes. Love and peace and acceptance is a good wish. Bless you, Steve.
I know, but I don't like talking in these politics.
Okay, My exotic fruit says, favourite place in Vietnam, favourite hotel place to stay in Vietnam.
My favourite place is Hanoi. Always has been.
Hanoi, and then I like Dong Hoi.
Dong Hoi was nice.
And my favourite hotel in Vietnam was Damsels, but it's no longer.
Yeah. The hotel that
I had a chance to think while he was answering.
I'd probably agree, because it was a little hotel that we found with lovely little views across towards the lake. Although I don't think you can see the lake, but lovely quality modern hotel in Hanoi.
Which was nicely done, wasn't it?
It was lovely done.
And
big rooms. We possibly they might feature in our earlier videos. I'm not sure.
I can't remember. No.
But we've had lots of wonderful average hotels in. They're not any of them to sort of write home about to any great level, but.
As long as the room is clean and tidy, and it's the staff that make it, isn't it?
I don't know if I would have come up with that. It's obviously stuck in your memory, so
I had a chance to think about it.
Yeah, I would struggle to choose a particular hotel. We've stayed in some wonderful hotels. We've stayed in some awful hotels.
Yeah, we stayed in a lovely hotel in China, didn't we? I can't remember what it was called. The one in Kunming.
Straight away, I know what she's talking about. So
and we did do a video.
In lots of good hotels in China, though.
Yeah, but that one was particularly. We actually upped our budget for that one.
Xu's place was really nice as well.
Yeah, that was a nice one too. Yeah.
It was something like it was in Kunming, and it was something like the Tea House or
like that, wasn't it?
it was
the same
a
as
heritage building.
Yeah, it was the same as that building in
It was lovely, wasn't it?
yeah.
Inside, beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, almost
And each
like
of the
an
rooms
English
are different.
cottage. So all
Yeah.
the floors were up levels. They had creaky floorboards that you'd walk down the hallways, and sometimes they were sort of a little bit creaky, a little bit old, but in a lovely sort of first class way. They had all the sort of the feel of a Shangri-La hotel,
Yes,
but in
yes.
a much more miniature.
Yeah. And you come back from being out, and they'd come and knock on the door, and they'd bring you a little pot of hot tea and
tea.
a little flask of hot tea, wasn't it? Things like that.
China
No
is
matter what,
wonderful.
whenever you came back.
Yeah, China's a great place. A lot of people won't go there for
No.
political reasons. I so strongly
Oh, it's
disagree.
amazing, amazing.
I just wish it was easier, and they would also be one of the governments I just want to reset. If
Yeah.
you can reset all the governments, and we can get rid of passports so people can travel. Look, I know people will say to me, you can't have an open border policy. You can have an open border policy all over the world if you want, but it doesn't mean people can come in and get benefits from your country. Now, if you had, for example, open borders for everywhere, and you said, look, yeah, you can come into China as long as you want, but as long as you're spending your own money, you're welcome here. We're not going to give you healthcare. We're not going to give you, schooling. We're not going to give you, but you can come in and tour. Europe, the same, just come into Europe. America, the same, just come in, spend time. The big problems is these corporate sort of governments that have made it madness, where they've sort of said, oh, well, if you come into our country, you're entitled to a passport and free healthcare, and that shouldn't exist until you've met certain criteria. But it doesn't mean that other people shouldn't just be able to move freely around the world without any barriers at all. I should be able to go to Australia, America, Europe, and spend on my dollar as long as I want in any of those countries without having to pay for a visa to go in. Because those visas, right, you think that they go to the people of China or the people of Europe or America? No, they don't. They go into the pockets of despot, greedy politicians
And most people don't want to go overseas and stay there. They just want to go and visit. So as long as they want to visit, and then they want to go back home to carry on with their lives back home.
Yeah.
A few people will want to go and stay there, and they should be allowed to, as long as they actually work or make their own. Don't rely on the government to give them handouts. Then why shouldn't they?
For example, I'll give you a very good example of this. Thailand is a good example of a poorly administered, and I love Thailand to death, but poorly administered. And this goes to every country, by the way. I'm not talking about Thailand, but I've given you an example. You used to be, up until recently, was it 30 days in Thailand,
Yeah.
or 15 days?
30 days.
30 days. So you can go into Thailand with a big fat wallet full of money, and you have to pay. You go in for 30 days, you get a free visa. But if you want to extend it, you have to pay them extra so that you can spend more money in their country. You will never get healthcare benefits, retirement, free schooling in Thailand. The government there will never give you anything as a European person who's touring or spending a year or two in Thailand. But you will constantly be asked to spend money. So you should be able to stay in these countries without having to fill in visa forms and extending visa forms. And that should be the same everywhere in the world. The United Kingdom, Europe. I just don't agree with this. And do remember, actually, that passports are a very recent invention. I mean, 100 years ago, actually.
Yeah, well, Dwayne's in. Hi, Dwayne. He says,
hello, mate.
I remember when you didn't need a passport to go into the US from Canada.
Yeah, and you didn't need a passport to go anywhere on the planet barely 100 years ago. These passports, these papers, documentations to travel between countries are a fairly recent invention. The times of Thomas Cook, when he used to go off sort of travelling around India and things, he didn't have to have documents. You wanted to go. They assumed if you arrived in Venice on a boat that you had enough money to get to Venice, and and if you got ill, tough luck. But the problem is, it's because everybody wants sort of to be able to do this, and also it's because of an abuse of the system. People want to move from poorer nations and get the benefits of richer nations, and they try to put barriers in the way to stop that happening. But actually, they could easily fix that by just saying, well, yeah, come flock to America from your poor nations, but you will not get citizenship, not unless you meet certain criteria. So if you arrive, but it's harsh, right? It's harsh to say to people, I'm sorry, you haven't got any money, we'll have to house you. But if you do it once, people stop taking advantage of it. You've only got to do it once, and we've demonstrated this a little bit in Australia with the boats by sending people who came illegally, sending people back immediately. It just stopped, and on the button stopped people coming, because what's the point? And it would stop everything, anyway. I talk for England.
You do. JD says we need free entry as long as we are good citizens. Why block those chances?
Well, entry to a country should be free, and the reason it should be free is because the only reason you're going to that country is to spend your hard-earned cash on their tourism industry, and so there is no logical reason to charge people. And Bali have just taken the decision to increase their fees, and they do it. They always do it under the auspices of, it's going to attract a better quality of tourists, which it will not. No. Trust me, the worst tourists in the world have money. The people that are kicking up a stink and buying, themselves, drinking themselves silly with beer and making a disgrace of themselves, these people have more money than they have sense. So it is not going to have any effect at all on the quality of your people coming in. But Bali have decided or Indonesia have decided to start charging for their visas some quite a hefty fee.
That's for Australians, isn't it? I suppose before the others.
Oh yeah, maybe for different countries. Yeah. Anyway, it's just another example, I think, of.
Yeah, we've done that one now. I've got some different questions. My exotic fruit said that Hanoi, talking about favourite cities, my favourite city in the world.
Hanoi, yes. So, what was the question earlier that...
Well, that was favourite places to visit and stay in Vietnam, wasn't it? Which we answered. And then we went on to China, didn't we?
Well, because somebody said about favourite hotels or...
Yes, that's right,
and that was one of
yours. It was. So... What else
Go on, get me going again.
You've got a good subject then.
Ask me another question.
Doesn't take much. Get them going. If you hit the right question. Well, that's better.
Yeah, it's a little wider.
Yeah, that's good.
That is a funny thing, if any of you are into your YouTube at all, which only happened recently, they want you to stream now on portrait mode. So when you start to actually do a live stream, it defaults to portrait mode, which means you just have this narrow little, and that's the default. You have to go into the settings and change it to landscape mode. So we can see the way YouTube are going. They really don't want wide videos anymore.
Who wants the wide videos and who wants the portrait videos?
Yeah, who would like to see this? And I think they're doing it because they assume everybody wants to be on TikTok and Instagram and just watch things like this on their phone. But what are you going to see? I mean, it's all right if you're just sat in a chair talking to people, which is what a lot of... But a podcast or going out into the streets, wide surely is the way we want to
If we didn't have wide, we'd only have him. Look, this will be what you'd see. Just that bit.
Okay. So
is that better?
There's my argument blown out the water.
That's funny, Dwayne and JD are both asking similar questions. JD says, what Asia food are you dying to have? And Dwayne says, what's your favourite seafood dish in Vietnam? They're both asking about food.
Seafood fishes in Vietnam. I don't have a favourite seafood fish in Vietnam. Hanoi is not famous for seafood. They do seafood, but they're not a... most of the interesting cities here in Vietnam are landlocked. They're landlocked cities, so I don't immediately think of Vietnam when I think of seafood.
Favourite seafood? What's your favourite seafood?
My favourite seafood would be lobster.
Lobster. I was going to say that one.
Lobster would be my favourite seafood. And what was the other one?
And JD says, what Asia food are you dying to have? With pad thai.
Pad thai, but if I was food that I really, and I could have here because they've got a restaurant just down the road here. I'm looking forward to a really nice curry that's got coconut sauces in it. So probably a Penang Gai.
Yeah.
Penang Gai.
That's 2 Thai dishes.
2 Thai dishes.
Yeah, a good Indian curry.
But
Nice.
a good Indian curry, but something creamy, you know. And I don't mean like a chicken. What's the butter? Not butter chicken. I'm not a big fan. Although nothing wrong with a butter chicken. You know, no more exciting than a peanut butter sandwich, but it can be quite pleasant. But something with a bit of flavour in it. So probably a Penang Gai would be where I'd like to go. If I had a kitchen right now, I'd probably get some coconut milk, head of coconut cream.
So JD says you mean a nasi kanda on a banana leaf platter?
No, that's not what. Because nasi kanda can be hit and miss, you know, and you're getting little bits, and mostly you're getting a lot of rice. You're getting a little bit of dal, and the flavours are not always super. I take that individual bowl of Penang Gai, Penang curry. Penang is not, by the way, Penang from Malaysia. It's Penang is from Thailand, and it's a rich red curry with. It's quite spicy, but not too spicy, and then the spices are hit with the underlying taste of coconut, a rich coconut sauce, lemongrass,
Coriander?
No, kaffir lime.
Yeah.
Kaffir lime and white rice, steamed white rice.
Sounds a bit like a Malaysian laksa. Not quite maybe as spicy as a laksa. And thicker, isn't it? Do you think maybe more?
No, it's different. I don't think laksa has got, I'm not sure, don't quote me on it, but I don't think laksa's got coconut milk cream in it. So, no, it's much nicer than a Malaysian laksa, in my opinion. Only when it's cooked fresh.
Because it's cooked really quickly, isn't it?
Yes. If you order it, it's 3 minutes to cook from start to finish, and it's on your plate. Fresh ingredients. None of it's pre-cooked, apart from the rice. It has to be pre-cooked, obviously. But that's 10 minutes. 10 minutes for the rice, start to finish.
Mango sticky rice. Mango sticky rice.
Mango sticky rice. We're not going to Thailand, Michelle, at the moment.
I know, but I'm just thinking.
We've been to Thailand too many times. We're not going to Thailand. So, or a really good Indian.
Nice lassi.
Yeah, nice mango lassi, salt lassi.
Yeah.
And I noticed we're not actually saying like a banh mi or pho.
That's good.
Because we've had a lot of banh mi and pho. I would like to always be able to include some good kimchi and some good gimbap in my diet as well, because you know that's still fresh in my mind from our recent trip.
With the seaweed and
But
things.
when you've just been to a country and you've had a lot of what that country has to offer, you're generally looking for something different.
Yeah, and because we do eat what is indigenous to the country, we don't have pizza and pasta and which are all over here.
We don't. Now you might pick me up on that and say, oh, but you had pizza somewhere. There is a place here that does pizza, and a young lady was saying to us the other day, they do good pizza. And I'm thinking, why would I want pizza in Vietnam when I've had pizza in Italy, you know, in Sicilia? Why would I want to? Because I know I'd be comparing it and I'd be criticising it. Anyway.
So JD says you mean Indian typical curry, fish curry and chicken curry with coconut soothing milk.
Well, I'm probably thinking more like a nice vegetable curry, lamb curry, maybe. When we were in Sri Lanka, for example, we had a beautiful prawn shrimp. I never know which one you want to call it, but you know what I mean. Little sort of wiggly finger-shaped fishies, and we had that in South Sri Lanka, which was just cooked in water, wasn't it?
Yes.
With a little bit of coconut.
No oil. Yeah. Well, the coconut. There was wasn't fried.
I can't remember the name of that dish, but.
So Anne says some Thai person once told me Penang curry is a Thai version of a Penang curry, probably Nonya.
I'm not sure. I don't think that's probably right, and it could be, but it's spelt differently. For one, it's Penang, it's P-A-N-A-N-G. It's not Penang or Penang. Spelt differently.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
spelt differently, and
Penang.
and also don't forget the word Penangai is not written in Thai. The Thais don't use the letter P
No.
or A or N or A or N or G. It's Penangai, and it's written in Thai script. So, although we might say Penangai or Penangai, whatever they might say, it might be not even remotely related to it. I could imagine, and it's quite an interesting thing to say, closely. I mean, if I were to put it anywhere, I would say Nonya, but I think that might be a long stretch. But I could be wrong. Nonya food is also some of my favourite food from around the world. And actually now you've got me thinking about some of my...
I mean, there's that one with the banana flour and the ginger flour.
Oh, the it's ikan bakar. No, not ikan bakar.
Ulam.
Nasi ulam.
Nasi ulam.
Wow.
Delicious.
Now, if you just wanted one bowl of rice, you never need to have another bowl of rice. Nasi ulam is it.
The guy is chicken, says Anne. Yes, guy is chicken.
Guy is chicken.
Ga is chicken here.
Ga. The word G, the variation of the word G and A, and of course they don't like G or A in any of these countries, but it's the same in Chinese, same in Vietnamese, same in almost every country in the area. You have Ga, Guy.
JD says, what do you miss greatly that you can get in the UK to eat that you cannot find in Asia?
Well, we haven't lived in the UK for such a long time. We're generally...
Bacon.
Bacon.
Can't beat British bacon.
British bacon is the best.
And chips.
Even the rubbish, even the worst bacon in the UK is better than the best bacon in almost every other country in the world. So yeah, good bacon.
And bangers.
And Americans might say, oh, but we have good bacon. No, you don't.
No.
You don't have good bacon.
We've been all over the place.
I've had every single bacon variation in the US, and you don't have bacon anywhere near as good. But, having said that, you do have to have, it has to be a good quality bacon. And generally I like to have a smoked bacon.
Yeah.
Now, not to say America doesn't have some amazing pork variants of bacon, but they can't do a fried breakfast like the English can. They can in Australia. We can get a good fried breakfast in Australia, but you can't get good bacon in Australia.
But the bacon doesn't come up.
No. Aussie family and friends. It doesn't get anywhere near.
Who will resist any bacon? So tempting. I know it starts cooking and you smell the bacon and you think, oh yes, that's
well, quite a lot of friends that can't eat bacon due to religious reasons.
Yeah.
And even they sort of, I think, err on the side of putting their religious doctrines aside.
Yeah, it does smell good, doesn't it? Yeah, can't resist that.
I'm just going to get another beer if I can see her. Oh, by the way, we are in the Pig Family Cafe.
Yes.
This is the
Well,
family,
you can actually see it in the background there. Comes
can
up.
you?
Yes. Look.
So we're in the
Family.
Pig Family.
Pig Family Cafe.
Yeah. An appropriate thought for when we're talking about bacon.
Can Chinese barbecue char siu make up for bacon?
Ooh, no.
No,
can't
but
make up for bacon.
But good char siu.
But it's a whole different level of food. But you see, I was talking just recently in Hanoi, just a few days ago actually, with a friend of mine because they do a lot of char siu in. I'll just see if I can get this lady's attention. See if I can. Is she going to look over? So they do a lot of char siu in the banh mi's in Hanoi, but it's. I'm gonna. If I was to scale it between 1 and 0, 1 and 10, it would land firmly at rubbish. It is just rubbish. It's not char siu, and the problem is, I think it's if they just called it porky stuff, it would be fine. But the fact they call it char siu, it just leads you to thinking, oh, I'm going to get that beautiful caramelized, honey-coated, fatty pork belly char siu. I better finish this before she comes.
She brings some more. Dwayne says Procol Harum did a song called Bringing Home the Bacon.
They did.
They did.
They did.
Don't ask me. And Nigel maybe says Danish bacon when I was a kid in the UK. It did always used to be Danish bacon, didn't it?
Did used to be a lot of Danish.
Yeah.
Well, that was a... Come on, thank you. The old adverts used to be, didn't they? Danish. And they had a little sizzle going on there. We have a lot of bacon in Australia, by the way. And people say to me, are you British? Are you Australian? Look, we've lived in Australia for more of our life than we've lived anywhere else in the world. So we consider ourselves to be Australian. But I do consider myself to be English Australian. And so I do have an opinion when it comes to good bacon. And I can tell my Australian family and my Australian friends the bacon we have in Australia is fourth class to the bacon that you can get in the UK. Even the cheapest home brand simple bacon in the UK outshines any bacon that you can get in Australia, even if it's like gourmet bacon. It just doesn't, I don't know why. I think a little bit of it is the way that the regulations around bacon making in Australia, the chemicals they use to process their bacons. Now, having said that, I can make my own bacon. I've done for years, and I can make really good bacon. So I can get excellent bacon in Australia. Don't worry about that. I don't miss it. Even I could make it here, where I am now in Ninh Binh, and it would be as good as any British bacon out there. But it would also be as unique as the fact that I made it.
So Pradeep says, mate, a lot of pho I had in Melbourne. He's an Aussie from Quambachur, lived in Melbourne from 2007 to 2019, and he says you sound like Michael Caine.
My name is Michael Caine.
And cheers from Quambachur, Manchester of South India, with neighbouring Brits holiday spot Ooty.
We love Quambachur. Now you've just reminded me, because a lot of people say Quambachur is. I remember when we were in Quambachur, and I'm probably Quambachur. When we were there, a lot of people said to us, "Why are you in Quambachur? What have you done here?" And I said, "Can't you see? It's a lovely city, and I highly recommend Quambachur. It's a lovely city. It's a wonderful sort of segue between maybe going up to Ooty on the way to Bangalore. You could stop there, and I would say don't just pass through Quambachur. If those of you don't know, it's a sort of south central India, and I think Quambachur is Tamil Nadu, if I'm not much mistaken. It might be, no, I think it's Tamil Nadu. And we had there, that was where the badam milk.
Yes,
and at the time,
yes.
the guy they were making at the bus station, the guy's making this huge big vat of badam milk, which is almond milk with saffron and
Tamil Nadu, you're right.
And just on the street, it's bubbling away, and it was the best.
We thought it was buttermilk. We kept saying.
I thought it was saying buttermilk to me, because it was like the colour of
my pineapple drink.
But it was like a rich
Badam's
yellow.
almond,
but of course it was badam, and badam is almond.
Delicious. Oh,
and,
so good.
Yeah, so Quambachur, wonderful.
Badam milk and
place.
chai, lots of tea
love
and
Quambachur,
snacks.
love Mysore, love Bangalore. Did not like Pondicherry in the slightest. Everybody else would go to Pondicherry and say it's great. Mind you, it's mainly French tourists, so many would go there and say it's wonderful. That's because they haven't been to Quambachur, which actually is wonderful.
Crazy's waving and saying hi. Dwayne says bacon or prosciutto?
Ooh.
Different, you see. Very different.
That's like, yeah, that is a little bit, although it isn't different, because they both are, but they're very different cuts.
Yeah, but I mean, you wouldn't have prosciutto with your
prosciutto is
breakfast, would you? You know,
I would.
Your English.
I would.
In place of your bacon?
Yeah, I'd fry prosciutto. I'd cut it thick and fry it, and
True.
I have done.
True.
I have done. Prosciutto is coming from the leg of the pork, so I've made prosciutto many times before. I used to keep pigs, and we used to butcher our own pigs, so I would make my own prosciutto. It's certain styles of curing the meat that make it prosciutto rather than any other. And actually, technically, prosciutto has to come from the right region in Italy.
Is it the champagne of Italy?
It is. But it is a little bit like asking, what do you prefer, pork chops or bacon? They're different in that respect.
Yeah. And they're both good.
I love prosciutto.
Yeah.
I mean, if you slice prosciutto super thin with a little bit, and something I don't really like, a little bit of fruit, a little bit of melon. That is to die for.
Crazy says cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, everybody.
Bon appetito. Another 50 cents, 10,000 Vietnamese dong.
He's got to have a few of those to catch up with the price of my pineapple smoothie.
Yeah, the pineapple smoothie was a lot more expensive. And Michelle goes really slow. The problem is with Michelle, she's not a drinker. Alcohol, all of you will know, alcohol you can drink. Get 1 beer, you can have 2 beers, you can have 3 beers, you can have 4 beers, because it's almost a diuretic. I think it makes you more thirsty. Whereas if you have a pineapple shake or smoothie, it's like a meal. So when I said to Michelle in a minute, and some of you may say, oh, is Michelle going to have another drink? I know what she'll say. She said, no, I don't really want another one because it's too much. Go on.
So JD says, do you think fish and chips should have bacon? I think so.
No, I think fish and chips should always have curry sauce. That's my opinion. Fish and chips and bacon. I'd rather have bacon and chips than fish and chips, to be honest. Yeah. If I'm honest, I would rather have a nice piece of bacon than I would have a nice piece of fish.
Yeah, a nice piece of fish. We get a good piece of fish.
Yeah, but generally, it quite often can be a bit disappointing, a lot of batter. Up in Queensland, we used to get really good fish and chips because the fish was fresh, coming in off the Queensland coast. We used to have such good fish and chips up there. But yeah, we were talking to somebody today, and they said, "Oh, I can't tell the difference between your Aussie accent, and your Kiwi accent, your New Zealand accent." I said, well, it's quite easy. Just ask them to say fish and chips.
Chips.
As soon as you hear a Kiwi saying chips, you know damn well where they come from.
Yeah, Pradeep saying fish and chips, curry sauce, but not battered fish, crispy breadcrumb fish.
I could just have really good quality chips. Chups. Really good quality chups.
Well, that's what I said, that
with curry sauce.
Missing from the UK, chip shop chips.
Yeah.
They're
it's the
best.
chips that do it. To be honest, it's not the.
They don't need the fish. You just need the chips.
Now, having said that, different countries. If I'm in Germany, I don't want to have fish and chips. I want to have German chips, pomfret, with mayonnaise, and then I just have to have mayonnaise. I wouldn't have curry sauce. I wouldn't have ketchup. It has to be sweet. It's not sweet. It's a little bit sweet. German mayonnaise. But then they would be a little bit surprised that I want to also put vinegar on them. And the Germans don't get that.
You've got to have vinegar on your chips. JD says you have a nice Yorkshire accent, so much like music in my ears. There you go. JD.
JB.
DJ.
I have a Yorkshire accent.
Yeah, and it says England must make good fish and chips.
You must be kidding, Al. Hey?
JM603 says mushy peas.
Mushy peas. I love mushy peas, but I don't miss them.
Don't need mushy peas in the fish.
No.
I mean, I wouldn't not eat them, but I don't need them.
If I go to the UK, particularly north of England, I would never go to a fish and chip shop and not have mushy peas. I would just always have them with a bit of Worcester sauce. Those of you that know what I'm talking about know what I'm talking about. A little bit of Worcester sauce. But it doesn't bother me. I'm not longing for mushy peas.
That's I'd eat them if they were given to me, but I wouldn't.
Many years ago, there used to be a fish and chip shop that I used to like to go to in Salisbury, and there they used to do mushy pea fritters.
Ah, yes.
But they also used to do baked bean fritters.
Yes.
It might have been near the George Arms in Salisbury.
That's what JM says. With you there. When I went back to the UK, I enjoyed them, but I don't miss them after moving to the US either. And JD says JB Hi-Fi.
It's JD, isn't
It
it?
is JD. But
Don't you confuse me.
And it says, why do you all need vinegar in your fish and chips in England and not chili sauce?
Because
It's got to
there
be
is
salt and vinegar.
Salt and vinegar.
That's what you used
I
to.
don't understand any person in the world that can't appreciate salt and vinegar on their French fries. And actually, I can, because quite often in the US, your French fries are like McDonald's French fries, which actually aren't really French fries. They're just mashed potato in sort of like baton shape. And putting salt and vinegar on those is pointless. It's about as, it would be the same as taking some cheap spam and wrapping it around a piece of melon, you know, and saying that you've got prosciutto with melon. There's no point.
Well, the Koreans might like that because they like their spam.
They love their spam.
Their spam.
I've never seen a country consume as much spam
It's everywhere.
as Korea.
It's everywhere.
It's in all the fast food 7-Elevens. They've all got like, and not just like they've all got a can. They've got like 18 different cans of spam.
And little tins,
Different
big
varieties.
tins.
You can get like a little pack. You can always get a spam fix. And I can tell you, I didn't have a single bit of spam.
No, we never tried their spam once.
No.
So Pradeep says kettle chips, love salt and vinegar, tangy.
Yeah, salt and vinegar. And also salt and vinegar is the number one go-to flavour for our, even in Australia, number one go-to flavour for our potato chips, crisps. Salt and vinegar would be the
JM says, what are your thoughts on poutine? We did that with
I love poutine.
with curd, didn't we?
I made it. I've got a video there, but it's not. I mean, I made poutine. I made a video because I was fascinated by the idea of poutine with a squeaky curds.
Squeaky curds.
So they have those lovely little cheese curds inside, and I think it's a piece of. It's a symphony of food. You know, it's the right balance of hot and savoury and a little bit sweet, and the squeak of the curds, the crispy outside of potato chips if they're good, well done, melting down in the gravy or sauce or whatever sauce they use. I know there are different variations. So poutine, yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it's
Poutine
good.
is another one of those. I mean, to be honest though, poutine is basically chips and curry sauce.
Chips and gravy.
Well, yeah. So if you love poutine, you would love to have chips with curry sauce. And if it really didn't float your boat completely, you could chuck a handful of curds in there.
You got a thumbs up for that.
Squeaky curds. Squeaky curds. It's got to be those sort of like, the curd has to be, you're basically looking at like almost a paneer, like a Indian paneer cheese. Similar.
Okay, do you miss the Sunday English roast? It's your favourite meal, isn't it? Actually, you don't mind a roast once a year?
No, I don't. If there's one food that I would never miss in my life, would be a roast dinner. I like all components of a roast dinner. I just don't enjoy a roast dinner. I never have, and I never will do. I love roast beef. I love gravy. I love Yorkshire puddings, and I do enjoy a roast dinner. Don't get me wrong. I won't avoid a roast dinner, but it's if it had to be in my top 100 meals, it would be well down in the sort of 97, 98, 99 position. It just isn't a favourite of mine at all. No, not even a little bit. I'm sorry.
Look, she's making all the straws. She's twisting them all. Stop the packet. Pradeep says, I've mailed you about South Indian and South India cuisine, 5 to 6 mails. He said he was going to tell you all about different places to go in.
Oh, okay.
So that's cool.
I thought he'd done it retrospectively. I thought I'd missed some emails.
No. And he says, do you like Peking duck?
I love Peking duck, but I don't rave about it. I think Peking duck is It's really special if you have it in. It's like char siu. If you have it in the right place and it's made well, it is delicious. I mean, it is absolutely. If the skin is right and the seasoning is right and they've got the right sort of flavours in the duck, and the duck is good quality. But to me, a little bit, and they do duck here. This area's got a lot of duck.
Yeah, it's a lot of duck.
We just, as we came in, we could see duck in every field, so every field around here, and they're actually roasting duck. I might even be able to show you it if they start.
It's starting to waft over. Can you smell
So,
it?
like 10 feet away, they're roasting duck. But we used to keep ducks, and duck done like duck à l'orange, duck breast with a orange or a cassis sauce is one of my number one favourite foods in the world. And I probably, every time you ask me, I'll give you another answer. But actually, duck breast,
Yeah.
cooked my way.
I'll say he makes a good duck breast.
I make an outstanding duck breast. I cook duck breast better than anyone cooks duck breast. I deglaze the pan usually with a bit of cassis, maybe a little red wine, depending on what I have to hand. I'll deglaze the pan and make a little jus, a little sauce to go on there.
You're making
And
Pradeep hungry.
One of my favourite dishes in the world. So whenever I have duck, like Peking duck, I just think, oh, what a waste of a duck. So I always think that. I think, oh, what a waste of a duck. Because we used to keep ducks, and when you butcher a duck, you don't get a lot of meat. There's not a lot of meat on a duck. And therefore, to take it and cook it and serve it in that manner is sacrilege, because there's only one way to cook duck.
That's your way.
My way. And the rest of the duck should be used for soups and stews and making good stock, but never cooked whole as they're going to do next door. Because when you cook it whole, you destroy the duck breast. You destroy it. You end up with this bullet hard piece of.
It's got to be. Doesn't take a lot of cooking, does it?
I mean, with the Peking, they generally steam or boil the duck, so it does keep the moisture in it, but it's still not pink. It's not hard to explain.
Whereas Pradeep says duck and free-range chicken meat that you have less, so soups and stews stock to make the whole stuff is better.
We had. We'll talk about that in another live stream.
JB says, on a scale of 1 to 10, as a Yorkshire Englishman, Steve, how good are you a cook for Asian food at home?
Asian food?
Asian food.
Oh, 12. I'm not a Yorkshire Englishman. You know, I'm my father's Yorkshire, so I've got a strong connection with Yorkshire, but I've never lived in Yorkshire. You know, I love Yorkshire. When I go up there, I feel at home. I love everything to do with it, but I'm not a Yorkshireman.
Enjoyed walking
and
through
I
Yorkshire?
haven't got a Yorkshire accent.
No.
I haven't got a Yorkshire
No.
accent. Because I wouldn't, although my father,
Yes, with his grass.
would have had a Yorkshire accent, but no. As far as how well do I cook Asian food, 1 to 10, 12.
Oh, I'm getting knocked a bit by your head here.
Yeah, so you should.
Pradeep says, didn't quite understand this at first, but it says, do you still go for game sources there? Do Brits hunt there? So, game meat he's talking about.
Where? Here in Vietnam?
No, I'm assuming he's talking about in the UK.
But we don't live in the UK.
I know, but I'm just saying.
We live in Australia, and they do hunt wild boar, wild pigs in Australia, and kangaroo, and they do hunt for rabbit in Australia. So you do have the gamey meats.
But he's asking about the UK, but yes.
Yeah, they do, but they hunt more. You'll see a lot more hunting for wild game probably in Australia than you will in the UK, and you'll also see more hunting for wild boar in New Zealand than you will do in the UK. So yeah. I mean, the average Brit would probably not have had. The average Brit has probably never had venison.
No, probably never had any game. I would say
pheasant,
no.
or grouse. maybe the closest people get to game food nowadays would be guinea fowl, maybe some guinea fowl eggs. And that. So, and I don't come down on me and say, oh, no, I'm English and I'm Scottish and I'm Irish and I've had, because yes, there are always exceptions, but generally, people don't eat much game meat. We probably eat more game meat in Australia. And when I say game, I'm talking about kangaroo.
Bit of roux.
Bit of roux.
Yeah.
Good meat, by the way.
Very good meat.
But that's another tale. Who's that commenting about?
Freddie.
All right.
Yes, game roux.
So any other questions?
I don't know, Pradeep's commented a lot, so I've got to go back.
Stop hogging the... No, you're welcome to.
No, you're welcome.
But
I'll just go back and see if I've missed any.
you might end up meaning someone else doesn't get a...
If you've asked a question and I missed it, write it again. Sorry.
Oh, that sounded a bit big-headed. I like cooking Asian food, and I've lived in Asia for a great deal of my life, so I'm familiar.
I mean, you make a great Penang curry. You can make a lovely Penang curry. So.
I can make a really good
Thai.
Penang curry and pad Thai, but I can't make it as well as the girls do on the streets in Thailand. I can't. The way that when they make, because they have. So on a scale to 1 to 10, I'd probably say realistically 8. But do I think I make pretty good Asian food in many respects? Yes. But, which Asian food?
Yeah, so many. Make a good curry.
Can make an awful curry sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes you think,
It's sometimes dependent. See, if you go for a masala dosa in South India, for example, you know that every day they're fermenting the batter. They're making that fermented batter. They're making the masala dosa on a. They've got the big sort of flat plate to cook the dosa or dosai on. They've got good, regularly turned over fresh ingredients to do a masala mixture to go inside, so everything's fresh and regularly turned over and good quality. So you're going to find it hard to beat that.
Well, as JD says,
you make it at home.
The difference with street food is because they use gas and wok, whilst you use electric stove.
Well,
that is the difference.
We can use those items as well, but it won't necessarily be as good. It's like when I was in Italy, particularly some years ago in northern Italy, up in the mountains towards Austria. So it would have been in Friulano, some area towards Udine. We had pizza here, and actually in Sicily also we've had pizza, where the wood, the vine they're using to cook the pizza adds to the flavour, and you can't really get those flavours because we don't have access easily to vine woods. So you have to go so much effort to try and replicate those flavours. You can never make, and that's why I don't generally have pizza. The last time I experimented with pizza that I can remember was in Japan, when we went out and had chocolate pizza and fruit pizza, and it was really delicious. But it was like, if pizza's here, it was like not even on the screen. It was so low compared to pizza, but it was still delicious.
Yeah,
it was more like having a cupcake or something. Or
I mean, it wasn't pizza.
It was dreadful pizza.
But it was
dreadful
fun.
Dough, dreadful pizza base, but it was absolutely delicious because they made it all with, chocolate and strawberries.
Who doesn't like that?
And all sorts of disgusting stuff. It was great.
Julie Whiting said, just got here, I'll have to rewatch.
Yes, you will have
Hi,
to
Julie,
rewatch.
you can rewatch afterwards. Catch up on what we've been talking about.
And I'll watch for the comments. So if you comment, I'll let you know if I haven't answered those questions. I'll try and answer them. We came a bit early tonight because actually I thought we'd catch the sun going down.
Yeah, well they're just starting on the ducks over there. I can see the smoke.
I'm going to take you over.
Don't lose the connection.
Oh, look. I'll make sure the 5G is on as well, guys. So let me just take you over. We're talking about duck. Hopefully we don't lose connection.
Lose his connection, he will be back.
Those of you that stayed around,
stay with
Julie,
him.
look at this. Got the ducks on. Hello, man. Now they're
Wow.
just early. They've only put
Looks
them
cool,
on
huh?
charcoal's red hot whole ducks. Now, if you ask me the price, I think it's around about 150 or 130,000 for a duck. Look at that. How much is one duck? Yeah, how much? How much is one duck? Okay. Duck.
Barbecue duck. Barbecue duck. Big 100.
One whole duck. Whole duck.
Hop duck. 200.
130.
Big duck. 250.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So 250. So 250.
Easy barbecue.
Look at that.
Easy duck. Pork. Chicken. Yep.
This one?
Pork.
Pork.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. They got pork there as well. I wonder. Here. Sorry, we're a bit shaky. I haven't got a gimbal. Pork there as well. Local duck.
Yeah.
Ninh Binh duck.
Ninh Binh duck.
Yeah.
Tam cốc. Gia Minh. Here garden duck.
Garden duck.
Gia Minh here garden.
Jamming beer garden duck. Thank you. Come on. Thank you.
Gia Minh here garden.
Thank you.
Chicken.
I'm going to have my beer.
Chicken.
Oh, chicken as well.
Yeah.
She's got chicken there as well, look guys.
Chicken.
She lovely. So she got chicken, pork.
Chicken.
Pork and duck.
Thank you, come on.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Hang on. Let's go a little wider. So the duck. Wow, that smells good.
I was getting the full experience there. I had visuals and I can smell it. Just couldn't hear you.
Michelle she's watching it over here and she can smell it. How cool is that?
That's cool.
But now duck is a specialty in the area, but actually one of the biggest specialties probably here is goat.
Goats, yes. We haven't had any
So
goats
we're going to
yet.
have goat. I'm going to have goats.
Because they're up and they live in on the cast.
Yeah, you'll see them on the mountainsides here. So goat is quite popular here.
Ah,
How was that? Lovely lady.
Yeah. Oh,
250 though, I think she said, didn't they say it was 100 or was it 150 for half a duck earlier we saw?
that was half
A duck.
a duck.
Waste of a duck. Complete waste of a duck. You could. That breast is going to be so overcooked.
Well, JD said they all look the same, chicken and duck.
Very different flavour.
And goat is cambing, chewy meat.
Yeah, it can be. I mean, when they're cooking it over the charcoal like that, you're getting all the smoky flavours. So you're getting all. They've got natural charcoal. Maybe I think there's wood in there. I think that's actually because they had a big pile of timber. So they're probably using local timber. I'm not sure what timber they're using, but that'll get the flavour into the duck. So into the skin itself, you're going to have a lovely, rich, smoky flavour. That will get inside the meat to a lesser degree, and that will be delicious. But in my opinion, waste of a duck. And they're quite a small duck as well, aren't they?
Yeah.
We used to raise.
Oh, will you get it?
Manmi, she's selling manmi.
So JD says you're both in the paradise world, and Pradeep says waste of a duck. Correct, mate.
Waste of a duck.
Waste of a duck.
Although that particular duck is like what's the duck variety? Not a Barbary, not a Aylesbury.
Yes,
They're Aylesbury
Aylesbury
ducks.
ducks.
And they're not the best duck anyway. They're not a great eating. If you want to get a real good duck, you've got to go for the South American. There's only basically 2 varieties of duck on the planet, although you might see the variations of the same thing. They either all come from the standard Aylesbury white duck, even the Indian runner, which is the upright duck, is from that family, or you've got the a duck that came from South America, which is in French we call it the Canad Sauvage, a wild duck, and there's a Barbary duck. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not. And that duck is a species, comes from a different line, different heritage. Genetically, it's different to the ducks that you see in China, Asia, and most of Europe. And that duck is probably the only duck. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's the only duck that roosts in the tree as well.
Yes,
So it
yes.
actually
Not sure if it's right,
will
but
sleep.
yeah.
No, it does sleep in a tree.
I know. I'm not sure if you're
I'm
right.
not sure if
If
it's the only one. They
yeah.
roost in trees, so they actually fly up and sleep off the ground.
Yeah.
And because of it, they have a very strong and overly developed breast muscles. And because of that, now you will have seen these all over the world because they've usually got like a gnarled beak. The beak looks all red and sort of knobbly. And that particular duck makes some of the best duck meat on the planet. Whereas that duck will have probably about half a teaspoon of meat on the whole thing, but it will be deliciously smoked, flavoured.
And JD's asking, have you both had dinner yet? Eaten dinner yet?
We've eaten a late lunch, so we probably are going to get food, but we're not going to be sharing.
We're not sharing our food with you guys.
No, it gets messy. You'll have to forgive us. It gets messy.
You can't talk and eat. It's difficult.
We don't always want to eat and talk at the same time. So what I'm going to do, is there more questions coming through, or shall we start to
I think we start to wind up slightly.
I had things I wanted to talk about.
I remembered. We didn't write
I
down.
wanted to thank Anne Young.
So Pradeep's logging out now. Bye, Pradeep. We're wrapping up soon.
I wanted to thank Anne, and I wanted to just say where we were in Ninh Binh and just touch base with you all. We'll do another live stream very shortly. We'll do one shortly. I'll tell you what, if you've got questions that you want to ask, I might post something on Instagram or Facebook and just ask. If you've got any questions you'd like us to answer, we may do a sort of Q&A on the next video.
Yeah, so you can always drop them below this video or anywhere if you've got a question.
You can even ask the questions that we answered today, but I might have a bit more time to think about them and answer them more accurately.
I did want to say thank you to Mark and his partner, also gave us a PayPal donation because they watched the whole of our Joggle series and thoroughly enjoyed it.
Mark. That was interesting.
That
was a little bit before you lost the phone.
Yeah, it was.
There was a couple who've been watching the Joggle series and liked it so much they sent a PayPal donation. So that was really nice because I know a lot of people really enjoyed the Joggle series, and I know some of you felt that we were a little bit too real. But I actually think because we were real, it makes it quite an entertaining series. Yeah. And Mark actually said that in the message that he sent.
So it hit home a bit and thought, we like you, Mark.
We do. We love you. All right.
Is that it? Thank you, Anne, again, for my phone.
All right. Love you all, and we will see you in the next video. Take care.
Bye.